Hello everyone, welcome to the Tent of Abraham. I'm Tamir Kreisman from Israel, and this is Parashat Kedoshim. The saints, the holy ones. This can be found in Leviticus 19 and 20. And as I said last week, in Israel here we read everything according to Israel time, so I understand if this will be coming a week later. Nevertheless, this also ties into what is happening in Israel today, which is the Holocaust Remembrance Day. So it will be relevant. In any case, let us begin. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the entire congregation of the children of Israel and say to them, Holy ones you shall be, for I, the Lord, your God, am holy. דבר אל כל עדת בני ישראל ואמרת אליהם, קדושים תהיו, כי קדוש אני, אדוני אלוהיכם." So, who are the saints? Who are the Kedoshim? So let's figure this out from the text itself before we go a little bit deeper, because the answer is right there. So after this grand statement that is given by God, what are the very next words? Verse 3, "Every man shall fear his mother and his father, and you shall observe my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. איש אמו ואביו תיראו, ואת שבתותי תשמרו, אני אדוני אלוהיכם." So again, it ends with, "I am the Lord your God." Again. Now, pay attention to the order of this verse. Fear, what? Who? Your mother and your father. This is the fifth commandment. And then we have the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Okay, so we're going to tie those together. Now, wisdom, that is the parent's responsibility to bestow upon their children. It's the father's responsibility to teach his son by learning Torah with him or acquiring a rabbi for him. And it's the mother's responsibility to teach her son by doing. Now, what does this mean? Obviously, they are both called to do, the father and the mother, but the woman's job, as we have discussed in previous parashot, is to be the living embodiment of the Torah in the home. The woman in the home, she's the Torah. The father, if anything, is the ark around the Torah. And so the parents must educate their son or daughter well enough that he or she should hold them accountable. And if they do not guard the Sabbath, which is the fourth commandment, what happens if they don't? If both the parents tell you to break the Shabbat, which is Beini uben bnei Israel ot hi leolam, between me and the children of Israel, it is a sign forever. Exodus 31:17. Don't forget who is even above your parents. I am the Lord your God. See how that works? Every man shall fear his father and his mother and his father, By the way, it's very interesting why it says, Ish imo v'aviv tirau, because then it says, Kabed et avicha v'et imecha. It starts with respect your father and your mother, but fear your mother and your father. And the reason is because a person is naturally inclined to fear his father first and respect his mother more. That's why God changes the order. It says, fear your mother and your father, respect your father and your mother, to balance them out. They each have different jobs, but they're just equally as important when it comes to raising the child. So again, we have the order of the father and the mother, and the fear and the Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. So we see that there's a hierarchy. Now, the parents and God are partners in our creation. However, the parents are responsible for the physical, while it is God who gives the spiritual. He gives the spirit. He gives us the neshama within us. So, what are Kedoshim? Well, remember how we read that God called us to be separate from the nations, separated and separate from the nations? That he would take us as a nation for himself and we would be of kings and priests. Remember we read that? This is where we get the word, dun dun dun, Pharisee. Purushim, lifrosh, parush, to separate, to pull away from. From what? From who? From everyone else. And why? Because Kedoshim tiyu ki kadosh ani. Look out now. Some of y'all might learn Hebrew before this time is up. And so, God teaches us that it all starts in the home. A man has to clean his own house, right? But even in the home, there can and very well be a separation between family members. Nevertheless, God closes this verse as well with, Ani Adonai Elohechem, I am the Lord your God. Next verse, you shall not turn to the idols. It says the idols, nor shall you make molten deities for yourselves. I am the Lord your God. Al tifnu el ha'elilim ve'elohei masecha lo ta'asu lachem, ani Adonai Elohechem. Again, he closes with, I am the Lord your God. 3 psukim in a row. So let's say that you do have your house in order, right? In order, we said beseder, everything is in order, and that you are working on becoming a kadosh, a holy one, so to speak. As soon as you leave the comfort of your own home, bam. Now, what chance do you have on the outside with everything that's going on if you don't have your fundamentals down on the inside? So, ha'elilim, what are the elilim? These idols, the gods, okay? El, we discussed elilim, but elilim specifically is idols, but it's also false gods, deities nonetheless. Now check out what our sages say in this regard. We've been discussing this as well. This word comes other deities. It refers to other deities who reside in the lower realms, who possess power. And you know who gives the deities these powers? 'Tis you, 'tis I, 'tis us. Anger, hate, gluttony, lust, pride, greed, and just about anything else that you could think of is being fed by us to them. Now, these manifest in the world through us because we give them power. That's it. Now, we've discussed this time and time again, that there are other deities out there, principalities and powers, the prince of Persia, the prince of Greece, the prince of the powers of the air, and so on, created by God, followed by man. Because we, his chosen, who are called to lifrosh, pull away, Pharisee, worship the one true God, creator of all things. Psalm 96 says, and this would be in the end of days, sing to the Lord a new song, sing to the Lord all the earth. Shir Adonai shir chadash. When do we sing a new song? In the end of days, we will all learn a new song to sing to him. Sing to the Lord, bless his name, announce his salvation from day to day. Tell of his glory among the nations, among all peoples, his wonders. Again, there's still going to be Israel and there's still going to be the nations. For the Lord is great and very much praised. He is feared over all divine powers. Noah hu al kol Elohim. Elohim, we said, is God. He is mightier than all the gods, if you will. For all the gods of the peoples are naught. They're nothing. But the Lord made the heavens. Ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim. This is idols, for all the gods of the peoples are idols, meaning they're nothing. They're idols built of wood and stone. Va'adonai shamai masad. Don't forget who put the heavens above your head. They ascribe beauty and majesty before him, might and glory in his sanctuary. Ascribe to the Lord, you families of peoples. Ascribe to the Lord glory and might. Ascribe to the Lord the glory due his name. Carry an offering and come to his courtyards. This is an invitation. Prostrate yourselves to the Lord in the majestic sanctuary. Quake before him all the earth. Say among the nations, the Lord has reigned. Adonai Malach has reigned, as in he always was, not only now, always was. Also, the inhabited world will be established so that it will not falter. He will judge peoples with equity. The heavens will rejoice and the earth will exult. The sea and the fullness thereof will roar. The field and all that is therein will jubilate. Then all the forest trees will sing praises. Before the Lord, for he has come to judge the earth. Great and terrible day. He will judge the inhabited world justly and the peoples with his faith. So God will destroy the other deities in the end of days by destroying the nations who worship them. Because once the power that is given to them is gone, they're gone. That's how it works. This physical realm is what shapes the spiritual realm, as crazy again as that may seem. So when you hear things like the kingdom of God is at hand, that's because it is right here. We are currently in it, but we don't see. We have eyes, but we do not see. We have ears, but we do not hear. We have noses, but we do not smell. The problem, I say problem, the challenge that we face as human beings is overcoming our ta'ava, our lust, particularly. Now, again, this is our lust, mine, yours, whatever that may be, as in what we want, what we desire, what I want. Now, the great men and women that we read about in the Bible, they were able to achieve great things because they aligned their desires with God's desires. It wasn't exactly a lust. It was, this is all that there was. You see Moses, you see especially David. I love bringing this up. David was talking, he's praising God, and he's like, the sun rises up every morning to praise you with its shine. I'm going to outpraise the sun. So that's why David woke up every day before the sun came up, so he could praise God before the sun. He realized who God was, and he adjusted his life accordingly. He wasn't living his life expecting God to be the filler, but it was all about God, and everything fell into place. I should write that down. Now, how did they do this? How did David do this? By knowing and following the will of God. Otherwise, how are you going to do it? You're getting to sit there, okay, I'll wait till the Holy Spirit tells me what to do. And you're going to keep waiting. It's right there. That's why he gave us the book. It's written down. It's fairly simple, especially in this parsha. These people, the ones who follow God's word, they are called Kedoshim, holy ones. God said. Now this goes back where? To the very beginning. Always go back to the beginning. Genesis 3:6. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and the tree was desirable to make one wise. So she took of its fruit, and she ate, and she gave also to her husband with her, and he ate. Now, Hebrew, because this is the point. Vatere ha'isha ki tov ha'etz lema'achal. V'chi, remember what we said, lust, ta'ava, v'chi ta'ava hu la'einayim. It was lust in her eyes that she saw. What did she lust after? Ta'ava, lust for her eyes. This was for her desires, not for God's desires. Technically, now think about this. Technically, Eve had impure thoughts before she even transgressed God's command, which was then when they were eventually expelled. Remember, when we transgress God's command, it's because God said, don't eat from this tree, and they ate from the tree. So even before that, she showed feelings that were technically unclean, but there was no, God did not forbid having these feelings at the time. He enabled them to have these feelings and free will. So she had pride because, wait a minute, if I eat from this, then I could be like God, right? So she had pride, she had lust. These are sins if we have them right now. If I'm boasting with pride, or if I'm lustful after my own desires, I gotta do tshuva. I have to repent. Yet she had that, and that was okay until she transgressed. But it's all related. So now, when man was created, he was created as a deity with free will. He was to be Lord and caretaker over all of the earth. But even the boss has a boss. Adam and Eve followed their own desires, and they were stripped of immortality. Instead of eating from the trees, God commanded Adam that now he would eat from the straw and the weeds of the field. Genesis 3:18. And it will cause thorns and thistles to grow for you. When God tells Adam, "Bezat apecha tochal lechem," by the sweat of your brow you will eat bread. You got to go till the land. Herbs of the fields. I mean, it's not exact. Esev is like what do you call it? Weeds. Yeah, weeds. It's the weeds of the field. You're going to go eat the weeds of the field, the grass of the field, just like the beasts. Now, where else do we actually see this physically happening, not only metaphorically speaking? Daniel 4. The king raised his voice and said, this is Nebuchadnezzar when he was boasting over the great city of Babylon. The king raised his voice and he said, is this not the great Babylon, which I built? He's talking about which I built for a royal palace with the strength of my power and for the honor of my glory. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The word was still in the king's mouth. The word, you understand what kind of power he put out there? What kind of sin he put out there was still in the king's mouth when a voice fell from heaven, which said, to you they said, O king Nebuchadnezzar, your kingdom has turned away from you. Uh-oh. From man they will banish you, and your dwelling will be with what? With the beasts of the field like cattle. They will feed you grass, and 7 periods will pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules over the kingdom of man, and to whom he wishes, he gives it. See, even if you're a king, even if you're a Gentile king, you still got to recognize God. At that time, the matter was fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was banished from man. He ate grass like cattle, and his body was drenched with the dew of the heavens, until his hair grew like the feathers of eagles and his nails like the claws of the birds. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, raised my eyes towards heaven, and my understanding was restored to me. And I blessed the Most High, and I praised and I glorified him who lives to eternity, whose dominion is an eternal dominion, and whose kingdom is with every generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reckoned as nothing, and according to his will. This is a Gentile king who's doing tshuva, it would seem, that his understanding returned to him. He foes with the hosts of heaven and the inhabitants of the earth, and no one can stop his hand or say to him, what have you done? At that time, my understanding was restored to me, and I returned to the glory of my kingdom. And my splendor was restored to me, and my leaders and my dignitaries were seeking me. And I was established upon my kingship, and excessive greatness was added to me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and exalt and glorify the King of heaven, whose works are all true, and whose ways are just, and who can humble those who walk with arrogance. This is amazing. When it comes to our relationship with God, ultimately, the only thing acceptable is absolution. You're either holy or you're not. So when Adam sinned, he was demoted from being an immortal deity to just above the beasts of the field. Now it's okay though. There's a painful yet happy ending to this story. Now, in order to understand these lusts that keep us from being holy, we need to go through these next 4 stages. So the 4 stages, what are they? We have thoughts, we have speech, we have food, and we have body. 1, your thoughts. Where does it all come from? Evil thoughts cause us to do evil things. Now, we've also learned that just like a person who could not fulfill a command, a mitzvah, yet tried with all their hearts, still gets credit for it. In other words, it's the thought that counts. Let's say I saw a homeless person in the street, but I didn't have any money on me. So I'm like, oh, okay, I ran home to go get some money on my desk and then ran back out and he was gone. I didn't actually get to give him the money. Nevertheless, it was the full intent of my heart, with all the actions, with every fiber of my being, to give this person money, but I was not able to complete the mitzvah. Nevertheless, it is accredited to me. You understand? Not that we're going on a cookie system with God, but you understand what I'm saying. So again, yes, it is the thought that counts, but it also works in the negative way. In other words, if you're thinking something bad and don't act on it, a sacrifice needs to be made, right? Ola. Korban. Ola. Okay. We have your speech now. Now, what is a speech? We discussed this a few weeks ago in Parashat Metzorah. What is Metzorah? Motzi Shem Ra. It's slander. It's evil speech. It's destroying a man's name by slandering him. So the teaching was given, I forgot the name of the teaching. Anyway, Metzorah, a few weeks ago. Third, your food. What is the food? What we eat. We discussed this in Parashat Shmini. Not only does God specifically command us regarding what food we should and should not eat, what animals are pure and impure, but he also tells us how to and how not to eat them. The life is in the blood, right? This we discussed over the last few weeks. And the fourth, we have your body. What is our body? What is this vessel? It's a temple of God, particularly referring to sexual immorality, which we also discussed last week. So now these things they're not debatable, okay? Even for those of you who have a problem with the halacha, the Mishnah, the Talmud, the rabbis, and whatever, this is written right here in the 5 books. So if you say that you could eat, again, this goes to Jews, right? If you can eat, Jews cannot eat whatever they want. A Gentile could eat whatever they want, and they're not condemned for it. Jews have specific laws that they have to go by. So again, if you want to be part of Israel, you got to follow these laws. It's very simple. You can't pick and choose. So again, you got a problem taking up with him. Now, why? Why does it begin with thought? Why do they bring it first? Do you recall the teaching from several weeks ago titled, "The Last Shall Be First"? Well, there's your hint. What do we discuss about thought? The power that we possess, even in our own thoughts, can build or can destroy. Now, I understand it's a tall order, right? I mean, come on. We have to control our thoughts. All right, let's do an exercise. I'm going to mess with you a bit. Because, again, we are called to control our own thoughts. Something ridiculous. Okay, whatever you do, do not think of My Little Pony. My Little Pony, Dream Castle. Na, 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 na. You're welcome. Right? Okay, now stop. Collaborate and listen. Ice is back with a brand new invention. I just put My Little Pony and Vanilla Ice in your head. Now don't think about it. Can't do that, can you? Okay. Now, do you see how easily we're influenced? You have both these things in your head right now. Sorry for that. They'll be gone soon, or not. All things considering, they're relatively harmless, okay? But what happens if someone puts something negative, some negative thoughts in our head, right? What happens then? Are you still singing My Little Pony? Are you doing the Running Man right now to Vanilla Ice? Ice, Ice, baby. Come on. Now, what if someone sows a seed of doubt in you? What happens if it grows from there? We must guard ourselves from all fronts and strengthen ourselves and the foundations of our faith so that when we are tested, and we're tested constantly, we don't fight the thought. We just don't give it place within us. Somebody said something. Somebody did something. Okay, great. Let it go. Have you ever heard the saying, you can't stop a bird from landing on your head, but you can stop it from laying eggs? This is what I'm talking about. So this parsha is made up almost entirely of Noahide laws. There are some korbanot in there, but again, the Noahide laws, these are the laws of morality. Jews are called to live by Noahide laws as well. These are laws for the entire human race. It's between man and his fellow man, and between man and his environment. You got to respect your environment. God created that too. You shall observe my statutes and all my ordinances. This is in verse 37. And fulfill them. I am the Lord. Vishmartem, guard. Et kol chukotai ve'et kol mishpatai va'asitem otam. You will do them. Ani Adonai. Don't argue. Why is God telling us this? He answers in the next chapter, chapter 20, verses 7 and 8, very, very clearly. And this is the part that should lift us up. You shall sanctify yourselves and be holy, for I am the Lord your God. Vehit vehaitem kedoshim. Ki ani Adonai Elohechem. Now check this out. This is great. It's very comforting. And you shall observe my statutes and fulfill them. I am the Lord who sanctifies you. Ushmartem et chukotai va'asitem otam. Ani Adonai mekadishchem. See, no matter what we do on our own, we can never achieve a status of kadosh. However, if we follow his statutes and his ordinances and fulfill them to the very best of our ability, of course, because we are human after all, through faith and love, then it will be God himself who will sanctify us. Kadoshim tiyu ki kadosh ani. You will be holy. I'll make sure you are, because I am. Because if I put my name in you, then by default, I'm going to have to shake you out and all the schmutz is going to come off of you. All the impurities. Or I'll dip you in the refiner's fire and purify you just like silver. It's going to be a painful process. Nevertheless, it means an eternity with God. Now, just like he took the lives of Nadav and Avihu, their deaths made them kedoshim. They died mot kedoshim. This is what it says. Now, this week is a very, very difficult week. There are a lot of shootings, you know what happened in California over the weekend. In synagogues, the Chabad synagogues, anti-Semitism is on the rise. It's the highest levels it's been since World War II. Now, over the past 24 hours, from Wednesday night to Thursday night is the Yom HaZikaron HaShoah VeHaGvura. It's a Holocaust Martyrs and Heroes Remembrance Day. Now, going off on some of the things that we discussed last week, the confession that we say, the vidui that we say every day, but specifically during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, there's another important prayer that we say 6 days a week and during Rosh Hashanah, if it doesn't fall on Shabbat. And also it's the last prayer that we say during Tfilat Ne'ilah, Ne'ilah means to lock up, sealing the books on Yom Kippur before the ark is closed. We say this prayer. As the sun sets after 25 hours of fasting in Yom Kippur, we conclude with Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. Now, its origins are unknown, but several verses were recited in the Talmud by Rabbi Akiva, indicating that these words are at least 2,000 years old, if not more. And like vidui, confession, there is a list as we humbly come before our Father first, then our King. Now, the reason that I mention it is because there are a few verses in there that whenever I say them, I'm not only reminded of the persecution that we have endured for thousands of years, but also on a day-to-day. It just hit me now. To hear the words of Rabbi Goldstein, weeping over his murdered congregant, and yet with whatever strength he had in him, says, Am Yisrael Chai. You're damn right. It's completely insane, as a Jew, knowing that there's an actual term coined for this hatred, anti-Semitism. It's a thing. Now I'm going to read these verses from Avinu Malkeinu to you, and I want you to tell me what flows through you when you hear it. So the prayer starts out, I'll read just the first verse and then I'll go into what I want to show you. The prayer starts out, Avinu Malkeinu chatanu lefanecha. Our Father, our King, we have sinned before you. Now here are the relevant parts I wanted to share in particular in this regard. Avinu Malkeinu aseh leman harugim al shem kodshecha. Our Father, our King, act for the sake of those who were murdered for your holy name. Avinu Malkeinu aseh leman tevuchim al yechudecha. Our Father, our King, act for the sake of those who were slaughtered for your oneness. Avinu Malkeinu Aseh leman ba'ei ba'esh u'b'mayim al kiddush shmecha. Our Father, our King, act for the sake of those who went into fire and into water, for the sanctification of your name. Avinu malkeinu nekom le'einenu nikmat dam avadecha shafuch. Our Father, our King, avenge before our eyes the spilled blood of your servants. Avinu malkeinu aseh lemancha im lo lemanenu. Our Father, our King, act for your sake, if not for ours. Avinu malkeinu aseh lemancha ve'oshienu. Our Father, our King, act for your sake and save us. Avinu malkeinu aseh leman rachamecha harabim. Our Father, our King, act for the sake of your abundant compassion. Avinu malkeinu aseh leman shimcha hagadol hagibor vehanora shenikra alenu. Our Father, our King, act for the sake of your great, mighty, and awesome name that is proclaimed upon us. Avinu malkeinu, chanenu va'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'oshienu. Our Father, our King, be gracious with us and answer us. Though we have no worthy deeds, treat us with grace and kindness and save us. This is the end of the prayer. At this point, the chazan, the cantor, he shouts out, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Then 3 times we say aloud, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Blessed is the name of his glorious kingdom for all eternity. And after that, 7 times we shout with everything we have, Adonai Hu HaElohim. Hashem is the Elohim, is the God. We conclude with Kaddish from Kadosh, holy, and the blowing of the shofar. The ark is then closed. The book is sealed, as is our fate. We do this every year. We ask, Mi yichyeh u'mi yamut? Who will live and who will die? Mi b'kitzo, mi lo b'kitzo? Who is at their end and who is not? Who will perish by water and who will perish by fire? When I see the number on my grandfather's arm, see, I'm already used to it at this point. You know, you grow up around it. Everywhere is Holocaust this and Holocaust that. We're becoming desensitized. These people are survivors of hell on earth, of the spirit of Amalek, who came at God through his people, just like back in the day. I would say that they're fortunate enough to survive, but if you heard some of their stories and the horror that they have to live with for 70 plus years, I don't even know. And last week, as you guys know, I was at the Dead Sea with a large majority of my family. We do this every year. We make it happen for the sake of remembrance. The look on my grandfather's face as he sees 4 generations around the table fulfilling the mitzvah of Higadeta lebincha, as you shall tell your son, of the atrocities of the Egyptians committed against us in Egypt, that man can say, I identify. I felt their pain. We don't know what they went through, but we must never forget that this has happened before, and it's happening again. And anti-Semitism will be here until our Mashiach comes and God says, enough. Our Father, our King, please, enough, no more. My grandfather would stand up at the table and remind us of where they came from and why we are here today. He points at his children, he points at his grandchildren, and he points at his great-grandchildren. And he says, you are our revenge against the Nazis. It didn't matter how religious they were, what their private lives looked like, how long or short their beards were, how much Torah they kept or not, how much they donated to charity. 6 million Kedoshim died because they were Jews. 6 million Kedoshim died so we could live. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. When you live as a Jew, you honor God. When you die as a Jew, you honor his people. And when you realize that they're one and the same, that there's no separation between God and his people, well, then you're on the right track. Being a Jew is not just about me or you. It's about us. It's about him. You carry a weight that is immeasurable. A weight that was never designed to be carried alone. Kedoshim tiyu, ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. You know, I was gonna end the drash right there. I was really struggling. Again, it is a tough week. It's a tough day. It's very, very personal. I was having difficulties. Someone very dear to me reminded me of what was important, though. Sent me one of my favorite pieces of writing from any category. And it hit the spot. It helped me understand what I was feeling and what I was going through. It gave me the focus that I needed in order to conclude. And now I'd like to share that with you. See, if we walk in this love, we can survive long enough. The darkness is growing. But with our faith, hope, and love to balance it out, we'll be okay. If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I'm only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put away these childish things. For now, we see only a reflection in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. My dear friends, the more we are hated by the world, the more we must love each other. The Nazis didn't care if you were Orthodox or secular, if you were practicing or not. A Jew is a Jew. So why do we care? Do you see how our God reminds us of who we are, even when we forget? That's mercy. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob strengthen our faith, that we might stand with courage against the forces of darkness. May we never lose hope for the coming of our Mashiach swiftly and in our day. And may we love one another as he loves us. That was a lot, I know. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you all next week. Have a Shabbat Shalom and Am Yisrael Chai.